And, growing up in the church was kind of hard and kind of challenging for me. And I was outed by a childhood friend at like 14 or 15, not intentionally. He was seeking help and guidance, and he decided to tell my story too. And my parents called me into my room at 15 and asked me, Marcus, have you been sleeping with the pastor's grandson? Of course I was sleeping with the pastor's grandson, but that's not the point. I was sleeping with my pastor's grandson, and the entire church found out. And I have a family history of TV evangelists, TV pastors, and everything in my lineage. And so for them, it was just the worst thing they can ever imagine. And I was told that day that I was unclean, that I was dirty, that I was an abomination, and that I was no longer allowed to live in the same house as my younger brother and sister because God knows what I want to do to them. And that was my reality. I was sent to live with my grandma. Big mistake there, girl. But I was sent to live with my grandma. She raised the queen. But yes, give it up for grandma. Oh, that's gonna make me cry. She's not here anymore, but she's here right now. And I don't say this to get sympathy votes. I say this to tell my story because it took me a long time to get comfortable in my skin because of my background and because of how I grew up. And now that I'm here and now that I've arrived and I love me and all of me and I don't really care what anybody else thinks, and I don't say that with resentment or animosity, I just don't care. If you want to come to my party, come. And if not, I hope you have a great time at your party too. And it took me a long time to get here, and now that I'm here, I refuse to go back. Yeah? And even though the church is a past place of hurt and past trauma, it's also a place where I found love and I found family. I also found music and my passion for performing at church, and I will never take that for granted. And it led me to pursue a career professionally as a singer. And in 2006, I got hired with Royal Caribbean International to be a singer in their production cast. And on my second contract with Royal Caribbean, I met a boy from Argentina who was a dancer in my cast. And when I met him, he barely spoke any English, and I barely spoke any Spanish. And my thought was, this is gonna be really easy. But together we learned each other's language and we started to date. And this was before the days of Google Translate. So we literally had an English-Spanish dictionary, word for word, trying to get to know each other. And about 3 months in, he found out that his previous boyfriend had tested positive for HIV. And if I can take you back to 2006, at that time, it was a different circumstance, it was a different stigma socially, and there was still a lot of scare and fear surrounding the disease physically. And I remember him being just terrified about what it meant for his health, but also what it meant for his career and his ability to travel and do what he loves to do and travel the world. And I let him know 3 months in, you know what, I'm going to go with you, I'm gonna hold your hand every step of the way, I'm gonna stay with you, and I'll even get tested out of solidarity with you. And so we got off the ship in Barbados, we went to go get tested. They asked us to come back 2 weeks later. We sent up all of our prayers and all of our light and all of our energy, and 2 weeks later we went back, and we found out that he was in the clear and everything was okay. It wasn't until the doctors asked to speak to me one-on-one that I realized that my entire reality and world was gonna be turned upside down. And I was told that day on January 11, 2007 that I was HIV positive, right? And now it's just 2 pills a day and I keep it moving. But then it was a confirmation of all the things I had been taught as a child, that I was unclean, that I was dirty, that I was an abomination, that I wasn't fit for love. And I remember telling the doctor that I would take this secret to the grave before I ever told anyone in my family. And I say this because I know no matter who we are, no matter where we're from, we all go through hard times. We all have challenges that we have to face, and we all have moments that seem hopeless. And I want to share my story to encourage each and every one of you, no matter what you might be going through, no matter what hardships you might face today, yesterday, tomorrow, or whenever it may be, if you can find solace and comfort in my show or in my performance or my music, I offer that to you because I know how hard those times may be. And if it wasn't for that boyfriend that stayed with me, I don't know where I would be because I neglected my health, I neglected who I was for 2 years. I kept traveling, I acted like I didn't know. And the only person in my life that knew was this person who barely spoke my own language. And he stayed with me. It wasn't always easy, but he stayed with me. And that boyfriend later became my husband. We spent 14 years together. Thank you. And we've had an amazing divorce. Oh no, but we actually did just break up about 2 years ago, but we're still family. We still speak. He still holds a special place in my heart. And I wouldn't feel right telling my story and sharing my story with you all without taking a moment to say thank you to him for staying with me. So this song is for Señor Carlos Martín Pico de Argentina. Guess it's true, I'm not good at a one-night stand, but I still... Sorry. Knew this was gonna happen. Guess it's true, I'm not good at a one-night stand. But I still need love, 'cause I'm just a man. Ooh. These nights never seem to go to plan. But you stayed with me and you held my hand. Thank you, you stayed with me. You were all I need. It was love that's clear to see. Thank you, you stayed with me. Oh, 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 oh. Thank you, you stayed with me. You were all I need. It was love that's clear to see. Thank you, darling. You stayed. You stayed.